Hey, good morning, guys. It is March 17th, and we're still in 2 Corinthians chapter 5. Yesterday was verse 10, today's verse 9. And verse 9 is so that we make it our goal to please Him, whether we are at home in the body or away from it. This is a concept, actually, there's a couple things that stood out to me today as I read through this, both the 2 Corinthians passage and Chambers' little devotional on it. The first thing that stood out to me was Paul's statement about being at home in the body. And it's interesting because a lot of times we read through things and we don't really give them any serious, deep thought. But if you listen to what Paul is saying, it says, as long as we are home in the body, we are away from the Lord. We live by faith, not by sight. We're confident, and I would prefer, and sorry, we're confident, I say, and would prefer to be away from the body and at home with the Lord. And I think we read that and we say, yeah, rah, rah, Paul. And I think sometimes we don't really ponder that we should desire to be on the other side of this life. That should be something that we desire more to shed this body. And some days it's easier than others. If you're racked with pain or sickness or despair, those times I guess it's easy to think, oh, I'd rather be on the other side of this. But when life is good, I have to admit, it's really hard to come to this. And maybe that's the reason why trials and tribulations are something that God allows. Because when life is good, it's really hard to come to this kind of conclusion that I'd rather be on the other side of life in this body. It's just me being candid with you guys, and so I'd like to get to the point where I'm more often thinking, wow, I'm ready to shed this body and be on the other side. I think the uncertainty, exactly what that looks like, that has to be kind of gobbled up by faith, is the one thing that kind of it makes it difficult to have that same level of enthusiasm that Paul has. Anyway, all that said, the one of the things that Pastor Robert in his sermon this weekend talked about was an audience of one, and Chambers deals with it here as he's talking about being accepted of God, and he says he gives this kind of suggestion halfway down that first paragraph. Once a week, or once a week at least, take stock before God and see whether you are keeping your life up to the standard He wishes, and not by any other standard, by His standard, a standard that of a life completely committed to Him. This is an interesting. I like this picture. Paul's like a musician who does not heed the approval of the audience if he can catch the look of approval from his master, or the composer. If you think about that, like in an orchestra, they don't look at the audience. People in an orchestra never gaze at the audience. They always look at the composer, and take their instruction from him, and their approval from him. And so that's got to be the way in which we approach life. This last paragraph too kind of captures it really well. I'm going to read the whole thing. It says, I have to learn to relate everything to the master ambition and to maintain it without any cessation. My worth to God in public is what I am in private. Is my master ambition to please Him and be acceptable to Him, or is it something less, no matter how noble? And you think about all the lesser things that we settle for in life and in ministry, all the things that are not necessarily, we get too distracted by looking at the audience as we play and thinking how we're serving the audience, and not often enough do we think about how the composer views us, or maybe just even in reverse, how we owe it to the composer to give him our full attention, and work to please him. And so I'll leave you with that today. You guys have an awesome day.